Hello, fellow humans. So I finally came back after a while and finally prepared a rig to actually get my voice involved in all this. I apologize that I've been a little bit late. I hope to do more material like this and other kinds. I'm thinking about doing some projects of animations, and let's just get down to business. Right now I'm doing a painting that is kind of a sequel to the one that I did titled Cowgirl. This is an homage to actually Cowboy Depot, one of my favorite series. I just loved how it was made and the combination of genres. The symbolism practically is trying to say that is a gloomy kind of a world. They play a lot of blues. The character I'm doing right now, Spike, the space cowboy, which is still argued by the series since there is another space cowboy in the series. If you haven't seen that episode, you have to see it. If you haven't seen the series in general, you should see it. It's really awesome. Now I'm just concentrating in making the lines actually work, as you can see. Making some alternations to what I did draw on paper. So I gotta apologize in advance for my audio. I know it's not the best. I'm still working on it. I might buy a microphone in the future. Not that long of a future if I get the money fast enough. As you can notice, I'm actually working with the outlines right now with a pencil. Obviously this is not going to be noticeable in the painting once it's done, but what I want to do right now is to actually first of all figure out what lines are aligning with and what is not going to be noticeable, what the background is going to be, how big I'm going to do everything. Like for example right now some of the parts like do collide to each other, which I'm going to erase and then prepare really well a good setup for it. So once I set the colors and everything together, I can actually blend it well without not needing too much materials. I might not do what in the other projects I did where I did a mold to actually with the canvas and stuff like that. This time I might just go ahead and use a little bit more post for it. Either way, it's a technique that I'm trying to master. I'm still fresh on it. I'm not that good. I'm pretty sure you can tell. But it's still fun to do. This part right here, I just didn't put the shirt in this case. Put the coat but not the shirt because I wanted to know if I should do the same thing because of colors and stuff like that. And I just said the wrist itself was going for. And that way, once I'm actually in there, I can actually go and mark everything that is going to be in there. And now, like this, and I can actually put some directions. Because here, I actually did some errors and I actually can see the perspective where the hand was. Now once I erase this, you can see that it actually makes more sense than in the drawing. And I can actually get back into the place. That's why a lot of the teachers will tell you to practice a lot of gestures, because a lot of times you're gonna forget where some parts of the body are gonna go and how they're gonna act, and because of that you lose a lot of the lines and well, errors happen. Those errors are not good because now I can't see that well there. But at least since I actually know where I'm going with this, I don't gotta concentrate that much on it, and I can play around with the lines and just erase whatever I don't want, and it makes it easier to notice that this finger is going up. I did actually do something right in this one. The curve, that little turn of a curve right there actually helps a lot. And I didn't do it over here, and you can see that it makes it difficult to happen. And now, once I add that little line, I'm gonna go with my my eraser, this kind of eraser. I can actually go ahead and erase whatever I want instead of everything, making it easier for me. For sure, definitely it looks a little bit odd, but I'm gonna put some colors, and those colors are gonna help bring those curves in that way. Well, right now, you can see this part over here. Right now, you cannot differentiate between the palm and the fingers. But once I put the colors, it brings it up, like this finger in the behind, which could be bigger for sure. And instead of like making it literally bigger, you just do a bigger outline, and it gives the perspective that that is in the foreground, but it's still bigger than everything else. That's how animes usually do it. As you can see, this tip here is thinner. You see how it blurs out in these areas? So the same way you do with the lines, you look for blurry areas where the lines will be a little bit less. And those dark areas become more bold, and that's why you have those bold areas. Once you put colors and then you shade the whole area, it's gonna make it easier. Yeah, I know the fingernails right now look a little bit odd. Some of those lines I can actually erase if I want to, a little bit, just to make them transparent. Since fingernails, you kind of, because of my color, yes, you can notice the difference between the fingernails and the skin. But in other color skin, when you're doing an animation or something, you don't kind of notice that. When you're playing with outlines, obviously the first thing that you gotta think about is that there's gonna be shades, there are gonna be things that are gonna add. And that's why when I'm shading or preparing a project, I'm always playing with shadings, even though I know they're not gonna be the same as the drawing itself, and the concept might be different. But I keep it as close as the source to know where I'm going. Like that, since I want that those part of the backgrounds to be a little bit more on there. Yes, for sure, my style is not the best there is. I could be better. That's why I try to actually draw everything I do, because even though if I'm painting or for that matter designing something that is not needed to be a drawing and just go directly to the design like they say, I don't do that. I never. Even if the project is as simple as a basic project, it's just for one day kind of a project, and there's not much that's going to be done with it, I still go for the drawing and the sketching, because it gives you an idea of what you're doing instead of just playing around with lines and winging it every time. So in a moment now, I'm gonna go ahead and start. Well, now I'm gonna start with the colors. I'm gonna start with this thing I just found from, I don't even remember where is this from. Either way, I'm just gonna go ahead and put some colors in there. I'm gonna start with a blue. I have my palette already done. Let me see if I can show it for a moment here. And for now, it's just a simple palette. Obviously, those colors are gonna combine to make others, or even the same color that I'm trying to go for. Some of those are combinations between what I'm gonna use. Some of those are not exactly the colors that I'm gonna bring into the here, but they're gonna turn such once I'm starting to put the whole piece together. Sometimes you're gonna have your base color, what is the color that you start with. Obviously the name is self-explanatory. And then you have your shading colors, which are the colors that are gonna appear as your shading between the granites and stuff like that, which I guess some artists forget about it, because once you're on it, it's practically in your embedded in your brain. So for example, right now I'm just gonna go for a really light blue, grayish blue, which is gonna be my background. With that, I'm gonna start wetting the canvas in the areas that I'm gonna use that for. Since this is pastel, I'm not gonna wet it that much because it's not like watercolors. You don't need that much water for it, since the pigment is really thicker and it's part of the substance itself. It doesn't need that much water to actually propagate it. The only thing you need is a good brush that is either around a good soft, but not that soft, you know, hard enough that you can actually put pressure on it and it just expands really well. Some brushes like this one, fan brush, are good, but not for combining or nothing. Usually you use this to just feather around the colors to actually prepare or create a texture. But brushes like this are better for mixing and applying the colors, and then applying a little bit with this whatever other colors that you might be doing. So you see, as I wet the pastel, I just want to make like you would do with watercolors. You would do the same thing. You wet the pastel a little bit, as you can see, and you just start pushing the pigments outwards, and you spread it out a little bit, and whatever other colors you're gonna put in, clean the brush for a moment and put in. For example, in this case, I put a little bit of white on it. See how it's separating already, because this is a lot of pigment. It's not like watercolors. That's why I like this, because once it's in the canvas, it becomes this specific color. You see how it's starting to separate the white from the blue. That makes a kind of a pixel look to the painting, which is for me what I love. I love that. So for wetting or even drying, I found out that this is the best brush that I can actually use. It's a foam brush, because it gives texture and it actually can take texture. So that is, if you've seen in my other videos where I go like this, even though it's dry already, is because I'm dusting off some of the pastel, which you cannot do with watercolors. And again, I imagine people are saying, "Are you trying to bash watercolors?" No, I'm just pointing it out, because some people ask, why do I not just go for watercolors? And exactly what I just pointed out. This is one of the things the techniques that you cannot do with watercolor, is that I dust off some of the material, and if I want to make it look a little bit more worn out, the area, or more kind of a puffy cloud, I don't gotta go ahead and literally go by detail. And let's say like I want to make a cloud, and I use this brush, and I gotta go one by one, just easily put in the lines. With this technique, well, the only thing I gotta do is put really fast, and then just go ahead and go do this this way, and then slide down some of the material down, and it makes it look blur already. I don't have to do something so simplistic and so complex for no reason. So I can concentrate in things like shading and stuff like really important to get right. Again, some people are gonna bash me for that, but I understand that everybody has their way to do things. What I'm gonna do is just wet just a little bit. The best thing about this is that I can just spread it out, and I just wet areas that I'm gonna paint. This actually makes it apply whatever I'm gonna go for stick easier.